Hi, welcome to Beyond Today and the Rod and Cindy podcast. How exciting is it to have a beautiful day like today out, and we have this beautiful background, and we have this beautiful people here. I'm really excited about today's podcast. It's a very exciting podcast. My name is Rod Lyman, and I'm here at Beyond Today. Oh, to my left, I have this beautiful, wonderful co-host, and her name is
Cindy Newby. Hello out there.
You know what? I was waiting for you to say Cinderella this time.
Yeah, AKA Cinderella.
There you go. AKA Cinderella. Absolutely. You guys can find us anywhere. Just go to Google and type in the Rod and Cindy podcast. But if you spell Cindy wrong, who knows? Cindy spells her name really weird. How do you spell your name, Cindy?
Cyndee. That's with two E's at the end of Cindy.
Cindy. I love it. That's awesome. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing really wonderful, thank you.
Really?
Yep, off to a great start this beautiful Saturday morning in Phoenix, Arizona. It's a gorgeous day today because I hear it's going to be in the hundreds next week. So I took advantage of it and went hiking this morning.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. I'm so happy for you. I'm so glad.
Yeah, thank you. Me too. How is your day and morning going?
Good.
So
I
far?
got up and went to the bathroom, made myself some coffee. That's about my gist of it.
This is a nice show.
It is. It is a nice show.
Not a dirty show.
Oh, especially today. This is a wonderful podcast. It's the Sacredness of Feminine Energy. It's so beautiful. You know, you have this wonderful guest sitting next to you. You think you could introduce this beautiful guest next to you?
Oh, absolutely. Sorry, I'm trying to get organized here. So this is my teacher. He teaches practical philosophy for New Acropolis. It's an international school. My mother and I actually go to this school. It's really wonderful. Learned so much, and I know there's so much more to learn. I'm excited what's coming up. We're getting ready to start symbology. Woo-hoo. I'm excited. One of my favorite things to learn about. I've been with the school for over 3 years now, and my mother 4 years. And he also offers archery and qigong and tai chi and a lot of love and support and a lot of knowledge. And I'm grateful to know my teacher, and I call him my friend, Ben. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Cindy, for that introduction. I am also very happy to be here and with all these beautiful people, as Rod said. And I hope that out of this gathering that we have here today, a lot of people join us and share in what we have for that day.
I agree. Thank you. And the subject is going to be absolutely femininely divine.
Oh, I like that. That was really beautiful.
Yeah, I know.
It's Sacredness of Feminine Energy.
Mm-hmm.
Divine guidance.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful, Cindy.
Thank you.
You really do have some really beautiful words sometimes, you know?
I know. You know where they come from.
The divine. Awesome. You know what? And I just have to say, because we have a wonderful, beautiful producer that's next to me, and his name is Mike. He's a fabulous man. He's going to have to reach over and say hi into my microphone, but we're going to someday have enough money to buy him a microphone so he can actually say things and that. So, Mike, you want to say hi?
Hello.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Mike. We also have a beautiful group of people out there in Facebook, and we're so happy you guys came. We do most of our podcasts live on Facebook too, so you can not just hear us, you can see us too. Isn't that awesome?
Yes, it is.
That's awesome. So if you're lip readers, you can see what we're saying. Is that right? No. I don't know. What a beautiful day. This podcast today, The Sacredness of Feminine Energy, is brought to you by a couple beautiful, beautiful sponsors.
That's right, Rod. Today's show is brought to you by Teresa Marie Holland at Beyond Today at Lakeside Center, 11223 North 28th Drive, F11223 in Phoenix, Arizona. You can see Teresa for massage, Reiki, hypnotherapy, and cupping. You can reach Teresa at 602-487-6938. Again, please reach out to Teresa at 602 487 6938.
Wow. And our other sponsor is
Believe it or not, we've got Ben Serpas from the new Acropolis in Phoenix, National Director. And you can reach Ben at 623 696 8244. Again, please reach out to Ben at the new Acropolis Phoenix at 623 696 8244.
And don't forget, we're also sponsored by Beyond Today, 11223 North 28th Drive, Suite F101, Phoenix, Arizona, 85029. You can call us anytime at 602-374-4926. That phone number again, 602-374-4926. We also have a beautiful website, which is beyond2day.com. Beyond2day.com. We have a lot of beautiful events here. We have our podcasts going on. Come out and check us out. It's a beautiful time here at Beyond Today. You know what? We have a lot to talk about, and we have a lot of things to go. So let's just get right into this, because this is a beautiful topic. This is a lot of beautiful things that's going on here. And you know what? Having been here and us talk about the sacredness of feminine energy, I have a lot of questions. And I'm sure Ben's got a lot of answers. And I'm excited about this podcast event. So I hope you don't mind, Cindy, because this is basically for Cindy and that. But my first and foremost question is that what got you into this, Ben?
Well, actually, it got me into it. I didn't get into it. It got me into it. I kind of stumbled upon New Acropolis about 25 years ago. And one of the first things that I learned is that there's such a thing as the feminine principle and the masculine principle, and they have nothing to do with male and female. And that really turned everything around in my life. I started looking at females and males with a totally different perspective. And I think that changed my life. Mary Magdalene, for example, that is a very important female character. She has both the feminine and the masculine principles. And I think that in itself is what got me going on this topic. So I think it's a great topic. I'm really happy somebody's doing it.
Well, us too. I mean, the thing is that I grew up believing something different about Mary than what I was being taught. And to myself, I've had this question all my life until I didn't realize until I met Cindy is that I'm not the only one that has these thoughts and feelings about who Mary is. And then she kind of opened my eyes up to other people and it was always, as a boy growing up, I was kind of hushed about the feminine concepts of femininity and feminine things, So I was always hushed about it. So my feeling now is like, this is awesome. Boys and guys can talk about women in the past and talk about femininity and everything else. That we can actually be out there and say, you know what, I have a feminine part of me that believes in this. And this is what I truly believe in. And I'm just glad that Cindy has been pushing to do this podcast, because this is a serious podcast. I mean, you're number one. You're the first one. This is, we keep talking back and forth what the name's going to be. That the Sacred Feminine of Energy, Mary Magdalene, Part 1, because we're not done.
That's right. It continues. Yes.
Absolutely.
There's so much out there.
Absolutely. I totally get that. I'm learning about her and her energies that she has to offer more and more every day. They're very strong. I feel very connected. I want to say I don't know how, but I just do and know. And I'm going to leave it at that. I would really like for Ben, though, he's already kind of given me a synopsis of what he has to share with us today. And it's absolutely beautiful. Truth be told, I start crying. So I think we should just let Ben take the floor for a little bit here. And you're going to be amazed. Get your tissues out.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Cindy. The first thing that I want to say is that there's a confusion out there as to what the feminine and the masculine principles are. And that should be the basis of our talk, because one of the reasons Mary Magdalene was given a bad rap is because males back then had no idea of what the feminine and the masculine principles are. And I think that most people don't either. So let's start by saying that all of us, males and females, have both feminine and masculine principles in us, okay? And that, if you can picture the yin and yang, right? A white and black fish, remember that? And inside of each one, inside of the black fish, there's a white dot. Inside of the other one is the opposite. That means that we have a little bit of both in each one of us. And those are the complementary aspects of creation. Same thing happens, of course. One of the aspects is the feminine aspect of human beings. And that's the topic of today. I wanted to start with the historical aspect of how someone who epitomizes the feminine principles was actually, at the beginning, held as an important teacher, a guide, and actually was called at one time in one of the Gospels the Apostle of Apostles, Mary Magdalene. And when was she actually kicked out? Because she was. So I go back historically. So in the Catholic and Protestant traditions, she's portrayed as a prostitute, right? And that she was redeemed by her love for Jesus Christ. Not so in the Eastern Orthodox and Gnostic traditions. She's portrayed totally different. Okay. Now, how did this come about? It takes place with Pope Gregory the Great, and this goes back to the year 591 AD. He gave what is called a homily, and in this homily, he takes all the Marys, with the exception of the mother of Jesus, but all the Marys and all the women in the Gospels, and piles them up into one, and gives them all the attributes of all these Marys to Mary Magdalene. Of course, one of these women was a prostitute. So he took advantage of that and said, well, here we are. Mary Magdalene was a prostitute. And she's the one that washed Jesus' feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair and so on and so forth. And that's the tradition that has been alive until today.
Wow. And where did this come from, man?
Well, this is in Europe. We're talking 6th century, when the church is coming out of a period that was started with Emperor Constantine.
Okay.
Back in the 4th century, when he declared Christianity the official religion of Rome. Okay? Starting there, they discarded most of the Gospels that existed at the time and only kept 4 of them. Right? In those Gospels, you find the beginning of the end of the feminine principle being important in the church. Okay, so the next 200 years crystallize with Gregory the Great's homily, where he calls her a prostitute, and therefore vanishing from everything, the feminine principle. And I think that's very important. We go back to that period of time. So he redefines what Mary Magdalene is in Christianity. And of course, at the same time, the role of the feminine in the church.
Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely.
So that historically, that's what happened. Okay? And of course, after that, we have different documents that have been found that totally contradict that. So, and that's another topic that I would like to talk about too.
Oh, absolutely.
Please do.
floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you.
Yes, good. This is very interesting, and I just have to throw this out there, Ben. That this is very interesting. Cindy. This is stuff Cindy and I have talked about. That we have no. I didn't learn this in church. I didn't learn this my growing up. That and Cindy didn't either. That, but this is just the knowing that we've had about Mary Magdalene. We knew that it was really funny. Is that the one thing that I told her a long time ago as a small boy. I told my minister that I said all the Marys. Somebody put all the Marys together in one place and made everybody a Mary. You're a Mary. You're a Mary. You're a Mary. And he looked at me. He says, "Blasphemy." He goes, "Please do not say that in my church." And I was like, "I'm so sorry." I was apologetic about this and everything else, but I had this knowing about something that I knew there's something was more. And trust me, I grew up a very strong religious and that, and I take that foundation of my religion very seriously. I really still do. And I'm not making fun of anybody in any which way, shape, or form. But I just wanted you to know that we've had a knowing, just like you said and everything else. There's a knowing that we've had, and I'm sure we're not the only ones that has this knowing that there was something different. There's something.
Well, yeah, that's why I started by saying that Catholic and Protestant
Right, absolutely.
traditions have portrayed her as a prostitute and so on.
Right.
And yes, all these Marys that are in the Gospels are distinctive one from another. So you have, of course, Mary, mother of Jesus, and you have Mary of Bethany. She's the sister of Martha and Lazarus. You have Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and Mary, the wife of Clopas. So you have all these. And then you have some unnamed women, and they're not Marys because they're unnamed, but they were all now Mary Magdalene, to serve a purpose, right?
Right, exactly.
So anyway, the interesting thing is how were these Gospels written and when is really important. For example, the 4 Gospels are not eyewitness accounts. We know that, right?
Right.
They were written 35 to 65 years after Jesus' death. And they were oral traditions. There was nothing in writing. And then when he died about 30 AD, right? After that, the Gospels of Mark, Matthew, and Luke were dated at 65 to 85 AD. So you see that they're all from memory. There's no written sources that we can speak of. And then the Gospel of John was composed around 90 to 95 AD. So you can see that somebody could have just transmitted the wrong idea or somebody interpreted wrongly. Okay? Both. Or both.
Either on purpose or not, right? We don't know that.
We don't.
But in my heart, I want to say probably some of it was on purpose. I
Mhm.
feel different about everything. Sorry, but I do. I feel this in my heart.
Well, let's remember a little bit, though, that when these Gospels, and I can't say they were written, but when these Gospels appear, right, from memory, they're transmitted orally. Right? And like I said, something can be lost or something can be added, right? And it's taking place before Christianity becomes the official religion of the state. Okay? So all of this is happening. In preparation of or not, we don't know, but I think Cynthia has a point. It could have been intentional. And why were the other 48 Gospels that we know of not taken into account? That sounds a little fishy, right? But so anyway, one of the things is that the Synoptic Gospels, for example, agree on 4 basic points. And this is interesting because this takes place in those first few hundred years. That she was one of Christ's female followers. They all agree on that. That she was present at the crucifixion. That she was the witness of his resurrection. The witness. And she was the first to be charged with the supreme ministry of proclaiming the Christian message. And here, this is beautiful because when she's at the grave, and she sees the stone has been removed. She looks inside, and there's two angels. And she's asking them, "What have you done with the body of my Lord?" And all of a sudden, Jesus, the Christ, appears. And she doesn't recognize him. And she thinks it's the gardener. She says, "What have you done with the body of my Lord?" And then she says, "Mary, it's me." And she recognizes his voice, right? From there on, he transmits to her something that's really powerful, is what happens to the soul when it descends and when it ascends back to the source, going to the 7 different planes. And this is exactly what is taught in Tibet. We find these teachings there. And how do we know about this? Madame Blavatsky, H.P. Blavatsky, lived for 8 years in Tibet. And during those 8 years, she memorized 54 of the 84 books of the Golden Precepts. From these 54, she writes a book, a little book, but it's really powerful. It's called The Voice of the Silence. In this book is an almost identical description of what Mary describes in the Gospel of Mary as to what happens to the soul. Now, this can't be a coincidence, right?
No,
So we're going back to Jesus, the Christ, transmitting this wisdom to Mary Magdalene. Why her? And this is why we need to talk about the feminine principles, because
Absolutely.
there's a reason, right?
Absolutely.
And then, of course, this opens a can of worms because of jealousy from the male apostles, and so on. I mean, this goes on and on and on. So this is the beginning, I think, of the recognition that Mary is special. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I just, it's really interesting. I just want to go back for 1 second on the 7 layers. And then, is that, I missed something in the 7 layers. Is that the same as the 7 rays?
No, it's not the same as the 7.
Okay, so I missed something
Yeah.
there. Then.
Well, we're talking about the 7 different planes.
Planes, okay, that's the part I missed. Okay,
Yes.
all right. I was just kind of like, had a lot of things I was thinking about.
We can have a whole session on that.
Oh,
On
absolutely.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want, we can come back to that, because what she describes and how it relates to the voice of the silence
Right.
can take up a whole hour at least.
No,
Okay,
absolutely.
so I just mentioned it so that we understand that
Right.
what Jesus the Christ passed on to Mary was not just, oh, well, there's a heaven and there's a hell, and no.
No.
There is a soul that descends and then ascends, and then there's a process and so on and so forth.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's what the important
Right,
is,
right,
and
right.
why he passed it on to her and asked her to be the messenger.
Right.
Right?
Interesting.
So that
I didn't mean to get back on that. I missed one part of that. The Alice Bailey 7 rays. I love that kind of thing. So the planes are different. I know.
it's not that it's unrelated.
Right. Exactly.
It is related, but that's not what she talks about.
It's more alchemical.
Yes, we'll actually have another podcast on this, because we've been having people asking about the planes and the rays and what's the difference with the
Right.
chakras and everything else.
Absolutely.
So I think we need another podcast on that. But this is about Mary now. Okay?
Yes.
Yes, it's about
Sorry. Let's move on.
the blessed, loved Mary.
There's other things that happen in these Gospels that underline her importance as a messenger, she was called the Apostle of the Apostles, and that is that her name is placed first at least 6 of 7 times in the Gospels of women that are in Jesus's circle, right? And then, for example, we have that in different Gospels, they mention her specifically. So, and that's important. Now, there's another also interesting fact that it could have been misunderstood because of ignorance, probably, when it is said in the gospel that Jesus cleans the 7 aspects of Mary, right? And of course, the Pope thinks it's vices, dirty things, whereas there's others that interpret that as the chakras, the actual cleaning and actualizing and stimulating and the asserting the power of the chakras in Mary, in making them actually start working.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And there's many writings on this topic, but it can be another interpretation. So that's also interesting. Let's see, what else is interesting here is that...
Just real quick,
Yes.
I found that very interesting when you shared that the other day in class. When we were talking about her last Monday, is how he ignited her chakras as the Kundalini type of deal. And I would, kind of look at it that way. I don't know if that's what it is exactly, but regardless of anything, it was really beautiful the way you shared that the other day, and it just really made a lot of sense to me when you shared that. Thank you.
I think as well as the misinterpreting of the feminine principle back then, many things were misinterpreted. It was, and ignorance is one of them. And of course, many have said that one of the reasons why the male apostles didn't care for her is because of jealousy and ignorance.
Right.
So that's interesting.
Because part that I remember and learned is that he shared more things with her than he did with the other apostles. And that was part of the jealousies.
Well, here's the interesting thing is I've thought about this many times as I studied the makeup of human beings,
Right.
The male and the female, right? I understand that the mental aspect or vehicle is more under control by females than by males. People don't understand that, but it's true. So when we talk about the feminine aspect, okay, and Jesus transmitting these things to his disciples, why did he choose her? I believe it's because she had her mental vehicle more developed and more under control and would understand the concepts in a much more precise manner than the male. And I believe that's why he chose her to pass this information on to her. Okay?
I agree.
I have to agree with that too. And the feminine aspect of that is that in a lot of cultures that I know that in Native American, that females are the strength of the house. They're the strength around. And a household would not be a household without the feminine energy. In a lot of cultures, and that's my true believing is that we see our mothers as running the household. She runs that and everything. And I remember growing up, and that's like, anything had to do with the house. That Dad was always saying, "Go ask Mom about that. That's Mom's life." So they were segregated as a child. This is a woman's job. This is a man's job. But femininity always was about the strength of the house and the strength of ground.
Well, I found out early on when I was a teenager, 16, 17, used to go out with my friends. I found out that my mother had a very powerful intuitive vehicle that I didn't understand. Because tonight you're going to a party, don't drink too much, be careful. I have a feeling something's going to happen. And you know what? It did happen many times, just like she said. And the reason is, again, females have more access to the intuitive vehicle than we do,
Absolutely.
because they have their mental under control more than we do.
Absolutely.
Our mental vehicle is an obstacle to access intuition. So we have a hard time understanding that. Jesus knew that about Mary. And so he passed this on to her because he knew she was going to understand clearly what he was trying to tell her.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And a lot of people have argued about the her importance and not really being part of his inner circle. But we find this reinforced in so many different places. Like we find it in the Gnostic Gospels, in the Gospel of Thomas, the first apocalypse of James, in the dialogue of the Savior and Sophia of Jesus Christ, the Gospel of Philip, the Pistis Sophia, the Gospel of Mary from the Berlin Codex. In all these, we find that Mary Magdalene is part of the inner circle. Okay? So it's not like one person said it. No, it's said in many places. Now, many of these, of course, were excluded. Remember from the first writing of the New Testament,
Right,
which was
absolutely.
done in the 4th century or so. But it's important to know. Now, in the Gospel of Mary, this is where she really comes on as a leader, right? And it's important that.
No, what happened to where did the Gospel of Mary come from?
Well, that's another. You're digging into
Well, I just
a rabbit hole.
just the surface of it, okay?
Well, but all of these have been in time discovered. Okay, I don't have the exact dates of when they discovered it,
Right.
but after their discovery, two different parts of it were discovered. Okay, and different scholars, at least one that I know of, she put the two of them together and discovered that there were about 10 pages missing from her gospel.
Mm.
But she used what she had. And in these is that description of the soul that I was talking about. And like I said, that's another topic. And,
Well, absolutely.
and I'll get into the details
Yeah.
of the Gospel of Mary in that particular podcast.
Right, absolutely. I think we should. Should we talk about that because it's really interesting how they were found and how it was put together and everything else. But it wasn't just the Gospel of Mary. There's other Gospels that.
Yes, many other Gospels
that
that were discovered, and you can actually find them on the internet.
Yep, absolutely.
They're now available to everybody.
Yep.
They're not as they were kept a secret for a while, but the church couldn't control that anymore.
I'm sorry, Ben. That was
No.
it's fascinating. There's a fascinating story behind it, and I think that'd be a really great podcast too about finding them.
Somebody asked me one time, why was Mary visiting the tomb by herself?
That's a good question.
Yes, and the answer is all the other disciples were hiding because they were afraid of persecution. After the crucifixion of Jesus, they all went into hiding. They said, well, they did that to him. We're next.
Right.
Except her. So she had the courage to go out there, and, in a way, because they probably felt that they wouldn't go after a woman, right?
Right.
Maybe. But she had the courage to go there and stay there. And when she gets there, it's open, right?
Right.
But anyway, that's an important part of why then Jesus, the Christ, chooses her to transmit.
Absolutely.
She not only has the mental ability to understand the concept, but she's got the courage that is necessary to take it out there and share it.
Right.
And not be afraid that they're going to kill her because she's propagating, information that goes against the empire. So it's really important that she was also a courageous woman. So
Very, very.
She
Absolutely.
was very courageous.
So I don't know if you have any questions. I mean, I have a few things, and I don't know how we're doing on time. So
We got some good time yet, too.
We do.
So I have a lot of questions, but Cindy, go ahead, man.
I'm good at the moment. I'm so enjoying this, and tears are coming down. So, if I speak, I'll cry. It's just so beautiful. I can't say enough how much I feel like I really connect with all of this. like she's definitely a part of me. And
Well,
I'm
I can
part of
see
her.
how it's awakened your emotions.
Oh yeah.
It's triggered a few chakras there.
A few.
Yeah.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. I certainly hope that everyone else out there, male or female, doesn't matter, can feel this energy that's going right now and about this topic that we're talking about, and how I truly feel it's super important to put it out there because these energies are out there. And again, thank you. I'm going to be quiet. I want to hear some more.
So, but one of the first questions that I have about this, and because I mean, this is a question that's been on my mind for a lot, is that, so what was the big role for Mary? What was she? Was she an apostle? Was she a disciple? Was she all the above? And was there other apostles and disciples that were females?
Yes, there were others. Yes, there was at least we know of 3 more. Okay, and one of them, interestingly enough, her name is Salome.
Salome.
And then it's not the one who danced. You remember?
Right, yes, absolutely.
It's not, she had the same name. But there's different stories and legends about all of them in these other gospels. Not so in the 4 that were chosen, okay, to be part of the New Testament, okay, that's another story of how that happened. Okay, that's really interesting.
That's next week.
Yes,
Volume 26.
Yeah, that's how the Pope and Emperor Constantine got together,
Right.
and how they secured power
Okay.
through religion. So that's another topic, really. But
Episode
Yep.
26.
yeah, but to answer your question is that there are 3 different phases in the chronology of the focus that is placed on women in his movement. And I, not by coincidence, you asked the question. I just flipped the page because I wanted to talk about it.
We don't. Man, we never have any coincidence, do we?
No,
Synchronicity.
isn't it? Well, I divided it into different phases. In phase 1, which is the time of Jesus when he was alive, women were uniquely empowered as fully equal. Okay? He has present in every day of his life the feminine and masculine principles being equal and complementary. Okay? So, and he portrays that. Right?
So that makes an interesting concept because there was a missing link of Jesus's life that we don't really read about or taught or are taught as almost 35 years of missing what happened to Jesus.
Well, he was absent for at least 20.
Okay, at least
20 years. Because at the age of 12, 13, he disappeared.
Right.
Nobody knows. Well, nobody in the church knows. I think other people seem to know where he went, but to become an enlightened being, just like some of the other messiahs or avatars, messengers have. They've gone to schools for initiates,
Absolutely.
schools of mystery, right? And so we know that's where he was.
Right. Okay.
So he comes back
Right.
at the age of 30, okay, and then he starts sharing what he has learned now that he's an enlightened being. He's an initiate, and you have 2 or 3 years where he consolidates the following, right? And he does not distinguish between males and females, but he doesn't have to. The females in his movement actually have proven themselves, and so he starts sharing everything with them. Sometimes more so with Mary than with the male apostles. Okay, and that comes through in many of the Gospels.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, through words of jealousy and complaints, and of course doubts as to why he was sharing with her and not with them, not believing her and so on. So that happens. But during phase 2, this is when Jesus, the community of Christians start losing that which Jesus had left as to the importance of the feminine principle. And the males start coming through, trying to squeeze out the feminine in the church. Okay, and so we have then, by phase 3, we have the Gospels are written. And those were selected, as I told you before. And this is when we see that the male predominance starts coming through, not only in which Gospels they choose, but how they interpret them. That's an important, really important part. And then, of course, they start emphasizing the authority of the 12 male disciples. And then, of course, they hardly ever mention Mary again. Or the other women that were important in the movement. Okay?
Right.
Can I ask you your feeling on that? Do you have a feeling why they stopped doing why the masculinity came out even stronger at that period of time?
Well, one of the main reasons is, and this is a very famous saying, when you ignore something, you tend to attack it. So ignorance produces animosity, jealousy, a whole bunch of things that come through in human being. And in this case, these women were so important that it made the males then feel that they were being left out.
Right.
And to come back strongly, they had to eliminate any feminine influence. Okay? And that was the main reason. And this was done out of ignorance.
Right, absolutely.
Because we all have the ability, the potential, rather, to bring out both principles, the feminine and the masculine principles. Yeah. And because we all have them. Right? Now, that has nothing to do with being a male and being a female. Okay? That we are different in that sense, but not as far as the principles and the potentials that we have within us.
Right.
That was not understood back then. So when you don't understand something, you attack it.
Right,
Okay?
absolutely.
And that goes on every day in the world. We see that.
So what you're basically saying is that in the human species mind, that instead of saying male and female, that's actually almost a discrimination sense, because we are either, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, now you said male and female.
Right.
Okay, that we're talking gender.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. That if we consider gender, it'd be more of a discrimination towards somebody by talking gender, right?
Yes and no, because it depends on how you mention it. How you
right.
mention the opposite sex, complementary, not opposite.
I love that,
See,
complimentary.
But
Nice.
why do people call it the opposite sex? I don't know, because we're not opposite, we're complementary. And so this is the thing again, because we ignore the fact that the male and female are part of our personality,
Right.
okay, which is the physical aspect, right? But when we talk about the higher aspects of the human being, remember, we're called human beings, right?
Yep.
The human aspect, we talk about gender. The being aspect, we talk about feminine and masculine, because these are spiritual aspects of our higher self.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's where I was
I
going.
don't know if that makes sense.
No. That was where I exactly was going for in that. Mike, you had something to say?
Yeah, so I listen to this and I think of it, of course, from the mystic perspective, or occultism, so to say, which is your feminine energy is the subconscious. The masculine is the self-conscious. Of course, you look at the Lover's Tarot card, you have superconsciousness floating above, and who does superconsciousness look at? The feminine. The feminine then looks at the masculine. So it kind of shows there's your Trinity again. Father, right, Son, Holy Spirit, or whatever you want to call it. But that's where I look at it from the mystical standpoint
Right.
of not the physical end of things.
Right. Right. No, that's what it's, I wasn't trying to say that discrimination as in that type of sense, and that is a discrimination of, we only see what we want to see sometimes, or what we are told to see. And so it's the idea is that when you look at, that woman, that female, is a beautiful female, right? Instead of that human being, that being over there is beautiful. So if we start looking or connecting our eyes to our heart, in a sense, we don't see that. We no longer see the female male aspect of it. And that's my idea, that the concept of that is, it's really hard sometimes for me to depict if you're male or female. It doesn't matter to me. Does that
Makes a lot of
okay,
sense.
that's what
Absolutely.
I'm trying, because that's what I was trying to get to. It's not a discrimination. Of it.
One of the things, and Cindy can tell you that I mention this often in our classes, that when we're sitting around the table, there's usually 7 of us in her class. I said, we are 7 different personalities sitting at the table. We have different tastes in food and music and what have you. But if we look at the essence of each one of us, it's a soul that we're looking at that's sitting at the table.
Absolutely.
And when you do that, you don't see gender.
Right.
Right?
Nope.
You see feminine and masculine principles. And you see souls that are doing something to raise the level of consciousness, which to me, that's what evolution is raising your level of consciousness. So that's really important in understanding what is happening 2,000 years ago. They didn't know this.
No.
They didn't know this in this area of the world. Other parts of the world were very, very knowledgeable about this. In Egypt and Mesopotamia and so on, they knew this. And this is where Tibet gets it. They get it from what we call ancient wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
It's neither Buddhism or Hinduism.
Right.
No, it's ancient wisdom.
Hermes.
Hermes, yes.
exactly.
Hermes.
I did a report on him.
Thought.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did.
Yes.
Thrice great. For a reason.
Yes.
Well, I've talked a little bit about what is going on back then. It's important that as we're talking about the feminine energy, that is reviving in the world, because it's true, it's happening.
Thank you for saying that. I don't mean to interrupt, but I truly believe that, and I'm not trying to do the feminist quote-unquote thing or even go that route at all. That's not what this is about, but thank you for mentioning that, because I truly feel that in my heart and soul that the feminine energies are very present right now.
And it's interesting that many obstacles have had to be overcome to get there. For example, the church created a model, okay? And it was a patriarchal model, right? And they defined women in terms of their sexual roles and their relation to men. That's how they defined them. There were virgins, there were wives, there were mothers, there were widows, there were prostitutes. That's how they defined them. And they declared that Mary, the mother of Jesus, symbolized the archetype role of virgin and mother. That was Mary, the mother of Jesus, right? And Jesus, the Savior, could not have a wife, right? So we eliminate the role of wife. So what role was left? The role of prostitute.
Yeah.
So his companion, his disciple, Mary Magdalene, had no choice here. She was a prostitute, right? This is what the church is promoting. This is the model they created. And now, did the model they created produce what they wanted? I would say yes,
Mm-hmm.
because they undermined the appeal to Mary of Magdala. She had become a warrant for women's leadership, okay? And that was dangerous.
Wow. Yeah.
The other effect was to undermine the theological positions that were being promulgated under her name and her apostolic authority, which Jesus gave her.
Right.
And to discredit sexuality in general and disempower women in particular.
Oh wow.
So these are the three very important effects from what they did. And they rejected, for example, sexuality. And that's another topic of why that was wrong.
Right. Absolutely.
And then there was a lot of ignorance there. There's many parts of different gospels that talk about Jesus' sexuality. And we can get into that also. That's
part 24.
yeah, yeah, but that's also an interesting topic,
Right,
because
absolutely.
the church has rejected sexuality, and of course they promoted chastity and so on and so forth. So
Interesting.
and then again, of course, there's so many documents that have been uncovered or discovered. I'm leaving some of this for our next meeting, which is the Gospel of Mary Magdalene.
Oh, lovely.
Okay,
Perfect.
and her leadership, which is there's so much. I mean, and all the things that she did, and how they've been captured in different Gospels and different writings that are now preserved in different parts of the world.
Right.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
And that would be, gosh, so much on her.
Wow. This is really amazing. I just, there's a lot to think about. There's a lot that's brought into light about this, and I think that the bottom line of a lot of this stuff is that the feminine movement is on. I mean, the strength of females is coming out stronger than ever now, and you really see it. And they're banding together in so many things, which is amazing.
But we have to distinguish, though, that the females from the feminine principle coming out, because you can't confuse the two.
No. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
No. You're right.
But there's a lot of people out there. That's why I'm repeating it, because a lot of people
Right.
think the feminine and female are one and the same, and they're not.
There's a
Okay?
lot of women who are not feminine.
Right.
Well, having the feminine principles, and I mean, there's a list of them, of all the attributes of what it means to be feminine, to have these attributes.
Absolutely.
The same with the masculine, okay? Cindy was just asking me a little while ago about the three logos, remember?
Mhm.
And we have, the three logos are three attributes of the one logos,
Right.
We have those too. I mean, one of the three logos is a feminine logos, and the other two are masculine logos, right?
No. Yep.
But that doesn't mean that, this is for women and this is for men.
Absolutely not.
We have the seed, the potential to have all three in us, both feminine and masculine, right? And that's what people need to know out there. It has nothing to do with gender. Okay?
No, absolutely not. No, I would never say that even.
No, not you. I'm
just saying, yeah.
I just wanted to emphasize
I don't,
out
absolutely.
there, yeah.
And it's funny is that in a structural sense, that we're built of tenticity. And tenticity means that the weight bearing, that more pressure that's pushed on our head, we will actually succeed and hold that weight bearing. So the tenticity, but every tenticity is made out of triangulations. So our bodies are made out of tenticity of triangulations, which is the three. We need, part of that is awakening the tenticity within our bodies, and that of the three, of the triangulations. And that's the female, male, and the ghost, Holy Ghost, basically, in a sense that some people speak about, is the spirit within us. And we have all that within us. My idea, though, is that as we awaken this, we're seeing, Cindy and I are seeing in our clientele that there's changes, many changes. Females are waking up and going, what am I doing here? What is happening in my life? And they're waking up and leaving. But so are males. But males are also being awakened in such a way as that they're being shaken awakened. And that the thing is that realize the female goes, I'm not happy. Something's wrong. And I'm not going gender-wise here. I'm just saying back and forth in a marriage and that. Is that the females are seeing it first before the males are. But the males are seeing it. Now, myself, who has been awakened a long time, in that I've seen it coming for a long time. And Cindy has, and you have been, and I'm sure Mike has, and that. We've all seen this coming out of us. And it's beautiful. It's like, time is now for us to just be who we are supposed to be, and allow the femininity and give back the feminine power, in a sense. And that's not just saying that, I'm not saying go to the government and say, I want my power back, or the churches or anything else. I'm saying in our lifetime, in our life, take the feminine energy back. Let us be who we're supposed to be. And I know I took up a lot. Cindy, this is supposed to be your podcast, and I took up a lot of time yapping and that.
Yeah, what's up with that? I wanted to hear Ben, not you. I'm sure he has a few more things to share before we have to wrap it up, yes?
We are at 56 minutes.
Okay, Ben, please.
We have one.
We have at least 4 minutes. I would like to hear the rest. We'll keep Rod.
Well, just that there is a historical process that, of course, has started with the Renaissance. Once that the holy or unholy Inquisition ended, I think that a lot of the feminine principles have started to come through. And you have found in these last few centuries that also the male, this is not the masculine, the males have begun to accept the fact that women have the same potentials.
Right.
And if we were actually sincere and frank as males, we would recognize the fact that women have us beat when it comes to the mental ability.
Absolutely.
But we are too proud to admit this. And I think that the feminine energy that is coming through has started a little bit at a time after the Renaissance, but has really picked up a lot of momentum in the last few years. So I think that's important. Now, again, and Cindy said it, and so have you, we're not talking about the female movements that have wanted to be equal with males.
Right.
We're not equal, okay? But the feminine aspect coming through, that has to continue. And that has to be accepted by us males, that it exists and we have it in ourselves, maybe not as well developed as it is in women, but we have it, and we have to respect the fact that eventually we all will have both principles fully developed. And I think that's the challenge that we have in the next few years, is that we have a very difficult period of time now in the age of Aquarius, which is the first 200 years. Ice, dark. We will overcome these 200 years and then start a very interesting and powerful period where this feminine, the feminine principles will actually be taken hold of just about any movement on the planet. And I think that's why it's important to understand what's happened to one of the, I think, most loving examples of the feminine principle in history, Mary Magdalene. And that's why I thought it would be interesting to share all this about her.
That's so beautiful. So beautiful.
Absolutely. Any warm feelings you have in your heart are definitely, I believe, contributing or coming from her and her energies. I don't care if she's been gone hundreds of years. She's definitely very present, I feel.
Absolutely. And I have felt this also in the women in my life, starting with my mother and my grandmother. They were, my gosh, They have these feminine principles very present. I've had very interesting experiences. Most of my bosses have been women in my life. Starting from my very first boss at Chemical Laboratory, and my second boss, the dean of the School of Medicine. She was my mentor, and so on. And today in New Acropolis, our international director is a woman.
That's true.
And so I highly respect the feminine principle. It has to come through, and we as males have to let it come through.
Absolutely.
Amen. I agree.
That's why you need to speak more, Cindy.
I need to speak more.
You need to
Okay.
talk more.
I've asked her to
You too.
many times.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Exactly. It's like
I wanted her to be one of our instructors, didn't I?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's not a complete dead thing.
I
Just-
know.
But I keep pushing her. It's going. It's like we have viewers that are and listeners that are saying Cindy needs to talk more. So I'm always going like this. It's like Cindy, you need to talk. You need to talk. And she's sitting there. It's like this is your podcast, honey. So we love you, honey. You know that.
Thank you. Well, this is definitely a good breakthrough, and I appreciate everything that you had to share, Ben. And I know there's more, and super excited about that. I also have some other beautiful ladies, and hopefully Ben as well, but at the moment, a few ladies who are also interested in sharing these feminine energies and what they're going through and feeling and their knowledge of this. It may or may not include specifically Mary Magdalene, but definitely, I'm going to say it again, her energies are very present no matter what the subject is of the feminine energies. I'm sure she's heading it all up.
Great. I think it's great. Just keep it up.
Thank you. I really want to. I want many more of these. And this deep love that she shares with all of us is very important.
I think so too.
It's what we all in the whole world needs. This is our peace. Thank you.
You speak with passion. You speak with integrity, honey. It's just I love that. This is very important to you. This is an important podcast. This is just the beginning of our podcast. That if you guys would like to be, if anybody else would like to be a guest on this podcast for, we're going to do the series about Mary Magdalene. That you can give Cindy a call at 602-374-4926. Say here at Beyond Today. It's, oh my gosh, it's what a pleasure, Ben. It's, the new Acropolis Phoenix, the national director here live with us. And that's an amazing feeling for me because I've heard about you for many years, from Cindy's mom to Cindy. And that the first time I heard about you is we were doing a Tune In Tuesday. And actually Cindy's mom mentioned your name that night. And I was like, I guess you had just came in as a director or whatever else in that. And you've been an amazing man in these beautiful women's life. And you've touched a lot of people's hearts. And every time I get to go do things with you, you've always touched my heart. And you're very special to me also. This information you gave today, wow.
Off the charts.
That's
I love
just,
it.
wow.
So I really thank you for having me here. And I think that you're doing a wonderful job. And anything that I can do to support you, I'm at your disposal.
Fantastic. Ben, we want to have you doing some more classes and things here at Beyonce. We have this beauty that I know that we can work in, and I'm excited about you. And they can reach you at 623-696-8244. That is correct?
Yes.
Is there any other way they can get a hold of you?
That would be the easiest way.
Oh, there's a
Message,
website too, right?
Well, we have a website, but right now they're working on it.
Oh,
It's,
okay.
it's
Under
work
construction?
Under construction.
Work
It's
in-
reconstruction.
Reconstruction.
Yeah. Or
Absolutely.
my email address that can also. It's. I think I wrote
New
it on the back for you.
Acropolis.sw@gmail.com. Or Ben Serpas. Is that saying it right? Serpas, Benny Serpas, @gmail.com.
Right. BENNY
BENNY.
SERPAS@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
If you're interested in getting information from our school, just write to me or call me.
And it's a blessing to have you here, that's for sure. And that
Thank you.
We really appreciate your philosophy and your ideas, and you're just an intelligent man. I love having conversations with you. I know when I talked about you to Mike was all excited. So he gets that way. And then we have a lot of stuff going on at Beyond Today. We have, don't we, Cindy?
We do.
Oh my gosh, you want to talk about this first one, or I'll talk about it?
Oh, go for it.
All right. So we have an intuitive panel coming up. It's using science, and spiritual gifts, and intuition. It's a professional panel of experts. We'll give you guidance and clarifications for your most questions. It's a beautiful panel. It's starring Courtney Long, the Angel Channel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, what a beautiful soul she is.
Mm-hmm.
We have Mozella Martin, the forensic handwriting specialist. She has
Awesome.
been on movies. She directs things. She's got 32 books or more out.
Something like
I'm
that.
sure
She's amazing.
she listens to this,
So
so I'm
is
sure
Courtney.
she'll let us know that if I have the wrong books out. And then we have the one and the only, the beautiful Cindy Moody, the clairvoyant, the color therapist, the one and only Cindy Moody.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you.
And absolutely, and then that guy, Rod Lyman.
That guy with
That
duct
guy.
tape on.
Yes, the one that sings that talks so much. That she doesn't talk enough, so I have to talk for her sometime. This will be Saturday, May 27th, and it's from 1 to 4 here at Beyond Today. What a beautiful place to be. You can get your tickets at beyond2day.com. It's where holistic options changes lives at Beyond Today.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely. We also then, coming up here, we have Dr. Emil Faith and Rod Lyman, those two wonderful characters, that medical intuitive and the medical medium.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be together at Storm Wisdom. Wow, have you been to Storm Wisdom lately? What a beautiful place.
Yes, at their
Charles
anniversary.
there?
It was
Yeah.
fun. It was fun.
Charles is quite the guy. That's
Yes,
going to
he
be
is.
Saturday, this June 17th, 2017. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 12:30 at Storm Wisdom. You can get your tickets online also at beyondtoday.com or healingwizards.com, which is Dr. Emil is actually a PhD in pharmaceuticals. And he changed it to more of working into supplements and that, which I thought was kind of cool.
It is cool. He's very amazing.
Yeah.
Very amazing.
He talks a lot about the organs, glands, and the hormones and the metabolic imbalances and that. We unearth energetic, emotional blocks and that. It's kind of fun to come and watch us talk and be. We did one here at Beyond Today, and we had a great turnout, so we're going to do one at Storm Wisdom. How beautiful is that? Oh my gosh, Cindy, you want to talk about this one?
Oh, of course I do. This one is our Beyond Sunday. Here's our little flyer. Not beautiful. So each Sunday morning from 8 to 9:30 till 9:30, we have a topic that we talk about and share, and a little bit of meditation, and we go around the room and people share their experience if they have one about that topic. I did the Mother's Day one this past Sunday. It was very beautiful. Personally, I thought it was very beautiful. It was my mother speaking about her mom, which was amazing. She doesn't do that very often. So thanks, Mom. Thanks, Grandma. So we have different guest speakers who will be here on Sundays cheering this up. So please come join us. It's donation only. It's a beautiful way to start your Sunday and your week out, because I know that we all get a little anxiety on Sundays knowing that we have the next work week to look forward to. Ha ha, LOL. So come and join us here at Beyond Today on Sunday mornings, 8 to 9:30, and learn and have fun.
Beautiful, beautiful. And if you would like to be one of our sponsors or a guest at Beyond Today, you can give us a call at 602-374-4926. That phone number again, 602-374-4926. It's always an honor to have such beautiful guests. Ben, what an honor to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you did this today. I'm speechless. I don't have words. I just can only say thank you, thank you, thank you. And for the record, I only teared up and cried about 5 times.
That was good. That's a
No,
record.
it was really good. There was some other times I choked up, but I held back a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
And a special thank you to Mike, our
Yes, Mike, thank you.
production manager here. He got us all set up and everything else. It looks great in here. Got the Facebook going and everything. This is awesome. That you can find us on the Rod City Podcast anywhere. Also, you can just look us up on Google. We're on iTunes now.
Yes.
You know, it's awesome. We have some great stuff on iTunes. I Googled us the other day, and we're everywhere, actually. It's kind of cool. So we love our guests. We love our patrons out there. We love everybody that's has anything to do with anything.
Absolutely. So please stay tuned. We have some more ladies speaking about this feminine energies. I believe Jeanette St. James, right? Or St. Germain.
St. Germain.
Sorry about that, sweetie. Jeanette St. Germain. Amanda Brown, and some other beautiful guest speakers. I'm just cutting it short here. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Ben, thank you very much. Mike, thank you very much. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Great day.
Blessings. Namaste. Love you all.